The A-7 Corsair II bomber developed for the Navy earned the nickname Slough, short, little, ugly, fire. The A-7D version was upgraded for the USAF with a more powerful engine and a bigger 20mm M61 Vulcan 20mm rotary cannon. These bombers took over close air support missions in Vietnam from the A-1 Sky Raiders. A-7 bombers played a major role in linebacker operations 1 and 2, as well as in the series of attacks on the port of Haiphong. Hi, my name is Mike Volkov, and in this video, I build a tiny-scale resin model of the A-7D from Heroes Models. First, let's look at the resin kit that the Italian company released in 2020. The fuselage, the tail, the cockpit and landing gear gay are made from a single part, and the wings from another, so there is very little to glue. The 41 gray parts are very nice and detailed. The kit also includes 2 ejector seats. Care must be taken to use the correct one for the USAF version for this. I very carefully cut the stubs from the resin parts with a saw. Two external fuel tanks are included, but bombs and pods are available separately. Instead of the broken wing, I made another one from styrene and glued it on with cyanoacrylic. Unfortunately, in the wrong place, so I had to break it off again later and glue it to the right side. I used filler to remove some of the flaws in the tank and sanded it down. The cockpit and the ejection seat are also very nicely detailed. I painted the cockpit with Mr. Hobby H317 gray, which is probably not completely accurate. If you like the way I work, you can visit the modelbuilder.art website and go to the contact menu. Tell me what kind of model you want, and I will be happy to build it for you. The dashboard and side consoles are black. The seat is painted with a mixture of H317 and H52. I dry brushed the whole with H307 light gray. The canopy and the windscreen are made of 2 separate pieces so that they can be made in the open position. However, these transparent pieces are very thick. It's a nice attentiveness from the manufacturer to include a cabin mask with the kit, which is a grateful bonus in this scale. I had to use a drill and a blade to drill out the stabilizer hole in the fuselage. The fit of these is pretty poor. The flaps are separate pieces, so they can be fixed in an extended position. They are very thin, so I had to sand them carefully, because resin can be sanded faster than molded plastic. All it takes is a slight deviation from straight, and you have a gap between the wing and the flap. I did get some gaps, which I tried to cover with superglue and Vallejo putty. In the kit, we get targeting and jamming containers. These will not be needed for my model, as they have not been used on this one. We also get two types of wheels. I have to choose the right one. The thick canopy didn't fit, so I sanded it down from the bottom of the seat to see if that's why it didn't fit. Unfortunately, I rubbed the seat unnecessarily, because that was not the problem. I also tried to sand the windscreen to see if that's why it doesn't fit. The canopy didn't fit the fuselage so well that I decided to glue it in place in the open position. I carefully removed some molding stubs from the bottom of the fuselage. Care must be taken, because resin is more fragile than injection molded plastic. the left side of the fuselage is missing some panel lines. Because of the scale, the smaller ones will be missed, and it's not worth scratching them all because it will be overdone. But these are quite distinctive lines, without which the plane would look strange to the eye, so I scratched them on. The A7D's radio navigation system includes very high-frequency omnidirectional range antennas, which are placed on the top of the tail on both sides. These are so tiny at 1:144 scale that I either lost them somewhere or threw them away by accident. So, I had to make them again from brass. I glued the pylons in place before attaching the wings, as they would be more difficult to access later. I glue the pieces together with cyanoacrylate. If a bit of glue goes off, and some always runs out, I use a debonder to remove the excess. Before painting, I wiped the model with isopropyl alcohol to remove any dirt. I started by painting the gear bays with Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 white. Unfortunately, the manufacturer of the model does not give any information about the color of the interiors. Other manufacturers suggest Mr. Hobby H316 Insignia white as the gear color, which is almost white, but in this scale, I think it is okay to spray it with bright white, and with a little dirt it will have just the same effect as off-white. I used ammo masking putty to mask out the landing gear. It fills the bays well and is easily removed without leaving a trace. However, you have to start painting soon, otherwise it will climb out of place. I used the same material to fill the cockpit and the intake. After applying the masking putty, I don't wait any longer, but immediately start the model primer with Gray Mr. Surfacer 1000. The doors of the gear bays come as one piece. I have to cut them up. I tried not to lose the parts later, so I fixed them on a piece of masking tape. When I started on the model, I had in my mind the image of a heavily worn, stained, dirty aircraft, like the ones that fly in the Greek Air Force. However, the A-7s that fought in the Vietnam War did not have this weathered look, especially during their active years. So I gave up on getting too worn. After priming, I sprayed Mr. Hobby H311 on the bottom. Then after a day of drying, I masked it with Tamiya tape in a straight line. As you can see, the masking putty is easy to remove with tweezers. It's true that I shouldn't have removed it this time, as I need to mask the bottom color. So, I masked the gear bays again later. I started painting the camouflage colors with H310 brown. I don't need to spray the first patches exactly yet. I just need to make sure they cover a large enough area. Before painting the second camouflage color, I used Blu Tack clay and masking tape to mask the brown spots. This product holds its figure better than the Ammo Black masking putty. The smaller the putty worm, the smaller the overlap. After the drop tanks are painted, the masks are removed. And it is time for the moment of truth. Blu Tack masks are easy to remove, and I don't seem to have sprayed under the masking tape now. After removing these, I masked the brown patches again, this time with ammo masking putty. It's not important to be very precise with this, it's just a matter of not blending into the green. I overpaint the center of the brown patches with a lightened version of the base color to imitate fading. I did the same with the other colors. The painting was finished with a coat of GX 100 gloss varnish and 2 days of drying. While the varnish was drying, I painted the wheels, the armament, and a few other details. It is sad that for a strike aircraft the manufacturer does not provide any weapons other than 2 drop tanks. AIM-9B, E, or J missiles can be mounted on the A-7 fuselage pylons. I could only find AIM-9L from my own reserves, so I tried to convert it to the early B version. The main difference is that it is slightly shorter and has smaller and different shaped wings. I cut the new wings from copper sheet. I sawed off the nose of the rocket, then glued on a nose cap appliqued from a molding frame and wire. I applied the decals before sticking the weapons on. You can't really complain about the Heroes model's decals. There's a choice and plenty to spare, as the decal sheet contains enough decals for 2 aircraft. The decals are also breathable, easy to wet and stick smoothly and nicely to the lacquered surface. I used oil and enamel paints to wash the panel lines. I made a special, more detailed video about this. Since you've watched so much of it, you're probably interested in the details of this model. Please also check out the episode about panel lines. After panel lines painting, I sprayed a layer of GX 114 matte varnish on the model. After drying, I painted the small things. Well, after gluing and painting the handcrafted scratch-built pitot tubes and other details, the canopy is in place. Lastly, I added 4 Mk83 bombs, which are also very high-quality aftermarket products from Heroes models. The model is being built under the Vietnam Group Build Project, which started on the 24th of August 2024 and will run until the end of March 2025. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like me to build for you a model like this, or similar, you can use the modelbuilder.art link in the description.